Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Arroyo and I'm here with Naylan, and we're going to talk about the shortcomings and wish list for EFVT. Next. Okay. So some of the shortcomings, so the only thing that we didn't get to finish this semester was connecting with real data. So the user story is, as a trader, I would like to connect my MetaTrader account so that I'm able to populate real data to visualize the account equity graph. So if you, Nayland, if you go to the database, you can see that in the database, we have forex.account equity. This is how we're populating the graph with data that we have already stored in the account equity table, and as well as in the forex account balance table. That's how we see the two graphs showing up. However, for the next team, you guys will be working on creating the connection between the forex accounts. So you will be working with the EFW team to make sure that they are connecting to their the forex accounts, and then they're linking those two accounts, and then being able to populate it real time with the data that's getting populated in. So yeah, so that's that story.
Yep. And then I can take on the wish list. So these are some things that we thought would be useful for the next semester to work on and things that would help improve the product. So starting off with the first one, we have, as a developer, I would like to look into the trader controller timeframes method, session caching, so that I do not have to fetch data from the database every time. This is related to code performance. So basically, the gist of this is that in the trader controller, which is a class that has this timeframes method, what we do is send a request to the database to fetch all these account equity points. And previously, there was a code block that deals with caching this information that had to be commented out for the time being for this semester to be reevaluated because it was leading to some bugs. And so this story refers to checking out those bugs and re-enabling the caching, because it would be nice for a user, let's say, to refresh the page. We shouldn't go back to the database if we've already done that once, because as we scale this application out, that would be many requests to the database that can be minimized.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to get the next one, Stephanie, or should I take that one?
Yeah, so the next user story is, as a trader, I would like to visualize the MACD on my graph so that I have another indicator to help me improve decision making. So if you go back to the website, you can see that on the top we have several different lines, like the exponential moving average, volume, and crosshair. All of these are toggleable options. So for the next project or the next feature that you might include is the MACD as one of these toggleable options. This is like a moving average, another sort of indicator that helps traders make better decisions. So you would then go ahead and add that as an additional indicator and as another feature for the user.
Good. So the third story is, as a developer, I would like to research other front-end frameworks and libraries to use and run a cost-benefit analysis of code maintainability for future development. So this story basically is referring to, we'd like to see some research being done on if we can bring in, let's say, React or another framework or library to help state management, because currently the state management that's being done in vanilla JavaScript and jQuery can be a little tough to comprehend. If you make a toggle change here, it also needs to change in the settings. So for example, we have moving average toggled off and volume toggled off right now, then we have to keep track of that and update these. So it's not necessarily like we are saying that you should go change it and use a different framework or library, but it would be nice for future developers to take that into consideration and do a little bit of research on what might help this project the project's code maintainability going forward.
Yes, and the final user story is that I would like to investigate containerizing the Visual Studio project so that developers are not required solely to have a Windows machine and ensure that the database stays synced across all dev environments. So something that Nayland and I experienced when we were setting up the environment was there was a disconnect between how to set up the environment, and that took us some time to actually figure out. And we think that it would be important to try to maybe containerize this application so that the setting up of the project and the development environment is a lot more smoother for future teams.
Yep. So I just wanted to add on to that, Stephanie, that you mentioned like there was a disconnect. I think there was also a disconnect in the developers that were setting up their dev environments. Different machines had different like problems setting up their environment, and we will refer to that in our installation and setup guide. But investigating whether we can use Docker in this project might help us out, because we might just be able to do a Docker run or a Docker compose up, and then the project should just be straight up and running on everyone's computer, including the database, because right now, whenever any developer makes a database change, we have to coordinate with the rest of the developers to say like, hey, you need to update your database to get the latest changes. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to add on to that.
Yep. And then if you have any questions about any of these things that we covered, you can always contact us. We have our contact information here, email, so you can send us an email and we can do our best to help in any way. So yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Thanks.